Hello again, guys. It's Keith with Bulletproof RC, and I'm back with you to share a new used vehicle. um, a couple years back, I had a Team Associated rival, and I decked it out about the same time frame that I started watching Everyday RC with my buddy Chris, and I watched him take a Team Associated rival and transform it into something truly spectacular. Well, I did the same thing to mine, and I loved it. And then later I picked up a Yeti XL and then a Savage, and turned it into a Savage XL, and I still had a regular Savage. That anyway. Long story short, I had I had like 5 monster trucks in my office, so I'm like, I don't need this Team Associated rival anymore. So I sold it like a dummy. Guys, I sell my vehicles too often and regret it, but anyway, we all have flaws, right? But I came across this. I was looking for a 1/8 scale monster truck because I sold my HPI Savage XL that was fully decked out, and I had a craving to drive a monster truck again. And I was looking at all the new offerings out there, and I had my eye on the Arrma Kraton for a while, and I just couldn't pull the trigger on a Kraton. I mean, they're bulletproof. I mean, everybody who has one brags and brags on the thing, but they're just ugly. I mean, I I have too much of a fixation on things looking like real vehicles. I mean, my collection for the most part has realistic looking vehicles in it, and I just the Kraton again. It looks like a lunar rover or something. I don't know. And the X Max, I like the X Max. I wanted the X Max, but I don't like a few things about the X Max. Having a lock center transmission, that's a big no-no with a monster truck. I had nightmare after nightmare with my Yeti XL and my Savage before I put an Alza center diff kit in it. And the Rival has a center diff, so they actually did the drivetrain right in this vehicle. Um, RC Nightmare, one of the old school RC channels, they ripped this thing apart with negative points. This vehicle has a whole lot to offer. It just needs a little bit of TLC, like any RC out there. I mean, yeah, aside from the Kraton, you have to do things to them to get them to do the crazy things you see on YouTube. But I bought this thing, got a great deal on it. The I mean, I don't know if it's coming across on the camera, but there's not a scratch on this body anywhere. I mean, I don't even know if this truck has even seen any dirt. Not a speck of dirt on the chassis anywhere. The previous owner upgraded the shock towers to GPM. That's one of the downfalls of the Team Associated Rifle is it has a little weak plastic in the shock towers and shocks, and that's GPM shocks as well. So uh, that's 2 weak points there that have been upgraded already. I know a couple of people have broken these A-arms. Well, I've got some RPM A-arms on the way. Should have them by Saturday. But the ESC is 4S limited, and that's a downfall because most monster trucks are capable of at least 6S. But I've got this to counteract that. I've got a quick run 150 amp, and I picked this one. I was looking at the Max 8. Got a Max 8 coming for my Team Associated RC 8.2, so I can run 6S in it. But it has a larger footprint than this ESC. I believe this ESC is going to fit in the ESC location a little better. As far as servos go, a buddy of mine has been begging me to try a Power HD servo, and if I can get it out of here with one hand, there we go. Now this guy has 20 kilograms of torque, which equals out to 277 inch-ounces of torque. Normally you try to go with above 300 inch-ounces of torque if you're going to put it in a monster truck, but my other rival, I put a 1258 Savox in, which is somewhere around 150, 160 ounces, and it did fine with the rival. So anyway, this is all metal gears. It's got a 0.16 second transit time and 277 inch ounces of torque. So we're going to try it, and it's worth it to give it a whirl for $26 shipped. Yeah. So if it holds up, I'll let you know, guys. Maybe this will be an alternative out there for folks on a budget, because some folks on YouTube don't get free stuff sent to them all the time, like me. That's why I buy 3-year-old RCs off eBay. I don't get the brand new Creighton to try out for free for you guys and have a jaded perspective on the review. But anyway, that aside, this thing looks brand new, guys. It really does. Look at the tires. I mean, there's a little bit of dust. It looks like this thing was actually set down in the dirt. A few pictures were taken, and they boxed it right back up after they put the shock tires and shocks on there anyway. And look at that, guys. I mean, it's just beautiful. There's zero wear on this thing. It's practically brand new. Again, got a great deal on it, so I'm looking forward to trying this out. I did pick up a new body. That's a factory Team Associated Rival body. Was a little disappointed that it didn't come with a window mask or any light grill or tail light decals or anything, so got to get a little creative with that. Got my receiver here so I can bind up my Spectrum DX4C, just using one of those Chinese rip-off receivers, so I have to buy a $50 receiver. And I've got a UBEC here. I don't know if I'm going to need this or not. I'm going to try it with the ESC BEC. It puts out 6 volts at 3 amps, which is what the BEC is rated at, but I don't want brownouts, so I may have to put the BEC in there. I was able to modify the battery straps to hold my 3 cells. I had some, I don't know if you can see them, but had some spacers and some longer screws for the front end of the strap, and worked out nice. I'm going to try the Reedy motor for a little while. It's rated at 4S, but once again, my buddy at Everyday RC, Chris, he on his rival, he upgraded his ESC, but not his motor, and he ran that thing with no heat sink for, I don't know, a lot. Several videos of him bashing his vehicle with that Reedy motor on 6S with no problems. It did finally quit on him, but it's worth using. I do have a motor in mind. It's a Truggy motor. Right offhand, I can't remember I think it's a Toro. There's a Truggy 6-pole motor, and it's a 1500 kV. I think that would be a great fit for this truck to run 6S, because if you gear it right, 6S is very controllable in this truck with that center diff. Speaking of center diffs, I'm not sure why a lot of manufacturers are going away from having a center diff in a monster truck. I don't understand that mentality of using a lock transmission in an X-Max, a Yeti XL, an XXL Losi. They all have lock center transmissions. The Savage has a lock center transmission. I don't understand that. I really don't. It creates a very difficult to control monster truck. You have to feather the throttle to keep from massive wheelies all the time, and unable to put the power to the ground in high traction areas. With a center diff, you can control that by changing your center diff fluid. You can use the thicker fluids if you like wheelies and you like back flips, but if you want a more controllable vehicle and own power steering, you can lighten up the center diff fluid. And what's best about all that is when your monster truck comes down off a jump and your front tires hit before your rear, or rear tires hit before your front ones, it doesn't bring your entire transmission to a halt. And that's what breaks these front and rear differentials, because if I come in off a jump like that and my rear tires stop when they hit the ground, the front tires are going to stop too. All the drivetrain from front to rear comes to a complete stop, And that's what breaks drivetrains. Now you may be saying, well, why don't you just loosen up your slipper clutch? Well, that doesn't do a thing. Slipper clutch helps with power delivery from your motor to your wheels. But like I said, in a scenario like I mentioned before, with coming off of a jump, that is irrelevant. If your front tire stop, your rear tire stop. That doesn't have anything to do with the motor or the slipper clutch. So another thing worth mentioning is slipper clutches are worthless. On the Savage, those things burn out next to 0 time frame. The Yeti XL, your spur gear will melt before your slipper clutch does anything. So you have to crank those things all the way down anyway. But anyway, that's my rant on lock center transmissions in 4-wheel drive vehicles. I think it's garbage. I'm still tolerating my Axial Yeti 1/10 scale. It has a lock center transmission, of course, but I've got this thing set up for more scale trail crawling, so it's not as big of an issue with that. But anyway, that'll pretty much do it for this video, guys. Like I said, I'll be coming back with you to share an update once I get my ESC, my servo, my body painted, and everything is dialed in. I can't get this body on there with one hand. But anyway, as always, guys, like and subscribe to The Shoe Fits, guys, and have yourself a great day.